I used to think real estate was the only way to escape the rat race, but I was wrong. Here are some ways that I'm working to escape the rat race. First, let me just tell you about why I thought real estate was the only way. My dad actually was an investor and he started after 2008. He had a little property that he bought that was in a, up and coming part of town in Austin, and he was able to do pretty well with it. He was trying to flip it actually, but it ended up being one that he just wasn't able to flip. It was a modular home, which is difficult to sell, honestly. And he ended up just holding on to it and renting it out to somebody. And lucky enough, he ended up making pretty good money with it, and he still owns it to this day. He has tenants in there. And then he also, bought a couple other properties just at a good time and was able to pretty much escape his 9 to 5 job and pretty much just cruises around the world now. And he's not doing incredible by any means. He's not somebody that owns 30 properties or anything like that, but he just took a chance and put his money into something that just happened to really take off well. And to be honest with you, I always thought that that was the only way. I'd never even imagined another way to make money. I never really thought about businesses. I had no clue what businesses were even making in terms of revenue. I just always was just driven by the hunt. I always was that kid that was, selling to anybody. I would go and I would, knock on doors, try to sell lawn care, and that's what I did as a little kid. Or I had a little lemonade stand for a bit. I had a YouTube channel when I was younger and stuff, which was pretty terrible. And then, just different things that I wanted to do, and I never really thought about the money of it. I just loved the hustle of it. But now that I've gotten a little bit older and, want to make money, obviously, I want to be financially free. I want to be able to quit my job and just be able to pursue my own things, because I get so much more energy from that. And I want to be able to get my time back. I want to be able to buy my time back. So that's why business is what I'm pursuing, because real estate, I guess, if you bought it back in 2008, you bought one property every year. I think after probably 5 to 10 years, you could probably be financially free. But screw that. I don't want to wait 5 years to be financially free. That's insane. They say that you have to, keep your job because that allows you to get into that debt. But the thing is buying properties is, first of all, you're getting into a lot of debt. It's very leveraged, which is good and bad depending on how the market goes. But real estate is one of those things that ebbs and flows. So right now we're going through a pretty rough market. It's going to keep going down, in my opinion, until it hits rock bottom, and then boom, you can start buying properties up again. But I don't think real estate is a way to get out of the rat race necessarily. I think it's a great store of wealth. I think it has great tax advantages, great ways to store your money and make better than the stock market. Something that you control. You can shield your taxes. There's a lot of really great benefits for it, and I went down the full rabbit hole of it, guys. I was doing wholesaling for a while, and it was fun. I actually did enjoy it, and I will get into real estate. I will buy properties. I love real estate. But I'm just saying that as a vehicle to get out of the rat race, I think nowadays in 2025, it is just not the fastest way to get there. I don't think it's the best vehicle to escape the rat race. What you need to do is start a boring business or acquire a boring business and use that as your vehicle. And then once you're profitable and you're making good money and you got extra cash sitting in there, yeah, start throwing that into some real estate properties, maybe some storage units, whatever it is. But as a starter thing, I think real estate can be good, but it's just, for me, not what I'm pursuing anymore. Let me tell you a little bit more about the real estate industry as it looks right now and why I've pivoted to boring businesses. So I'm recording this July 4th, 2025, and right now the real estate market is kind of at a standstill. It's definitely been a while since they started raising rates. It was about 2-3 years ago that they started raising rates for the first time, because it was right after I graduated from college that they started raising them. And I was actually looking at buying a property right around that time, and I actually pivoted out of it because I just realized people were asking insane prices for things, and it just wasn't something that I thought I was going to make good money on, and it was just a lot of risk to take. And so I pivoted. That's when I got into the vending machine world. But right now, we're starting to see prices decline quite a bit. I'm from Austin originally. I live up in Dallas-Fort Worth, and I was looking at properties down there, and it's insane how cheap they've gotten the last couple of years, because during COVID, Austin was one of those boom towns that just went absolutely through the roof. The house that my dad owned and that I grew up in, my dad bought for under 200 grand back in 2008 or so. In 2020, it went up to $900,000. And it wasn't anything crazy. 3-bed, 2-bath in North Austin. And it was insane. I couldn't believe that that was what he would have been able to sell his property for at that time. That just goes to show you how the real estate market goes. It is highly linked to inflation. And just to give you a little background on that, if y'all aren't, you know, looking at the Fed or any of the things that they do, the Fed prints money. So our currency is not backed by gold. It's not backed by anything. So they just print it whenever they want. Now it's not a literal printer, but they basically issue treasury notes. And whenever COVID happened, they just turned that printer on like crazy. And so the actual value of each dollar went down a ton. And I think everybody knows about how the dollar is declining and all that. And it's because back in 1970, Richard Nixon took us off the gold standard, so our money wasn't backed by anything. Basically, it has value because we say it has value. So that's why you see these incredible booms and busts. And so with the real estate world, that's where you see it the most, because a lot of people's main investment is their property. And so they start to feel really rich because as the dollar value declines, it looks like their property is worth a ton, but it really isn't. It's just the dollar has declined that much because there's so much money in the system. And then when they raise interest rates, they basically pull the money out of the system, and now it's hard to get money. It's not moving as fast. The velocity of money has shrunk a ton. And then these properties start to collapse back to what they were actually worth. See, the properties weren't actually worth that price. They didn't put any improvements into them. The property just sat there and went up because of inflation. That's why real estate is a good investment, but you have to understand it goes in cycles. And right now we're in the end of a cycle. So it's about to go down quite a bit to crash levels. And then over a couple years, it'll start to go back up, and you'll start to see people rush back in, try to buy properties, and then the price is going to go up again. You have to just understand the cycle of it. It's an ebb and flow. That's why as a vehicle for, getting out of the rat race, you just have to be careful with it. You have to buy smart, but I just think business is a better route. And don't get me wrong, real estate is a business, but it is something that is so linked to market cycles. You think about the big business cycles as well. We're just in a unique time where the business cycle and the real estate cycle are going to collapse at the same time. But at the same time, this leaves a lot of opportunity for people like you and me who are trying to get out of the rat race or trying to get into this world and make money through it. Whether you're young or you're a little bit older than me, it doesn't matter. We're all just trying to find a way to make money, and this is one of the best times in the world to do it. It's the best time to be learning. It's the best time to be getting out there and consuming content like this or other creators and see how you can prepare yourself for what's coming, because it's going to be some incredible opportunities. I will say, I've been working my tail off to try to get prepared for it and to try to position myself to take advantage of it, because whether you're looking to get into real estate or you're looking to get into business and business buying, look, it's going to be incredible. We have a bunch of boomers retiring. They're going to start offloading their businesses, and that's when you can get in with some unique financing terms like seller finance, which is one of those awesome terms that I can talk about in another video about how to negotiate seller finance. But basically, it's where you negotiate with the seller to basically finance the deal. So you make payments to the seller, and they can name an interest rate. So say they wanted to charge you 5% interest, we'll just say that. To basically finance the property, you pay a down payment or you don't. You can also do $0 down, and you just make monthly payments to the seller, and then you take over the deed or whatever, and you can control the property. You put tenants in it, you can make profit, and then you just keep making payments to the seller. Now, usually there are terms that say that if you miss a payment, the seller can take the property back. So just be careful of that. But this is a fantastic way if you have no money to get into a business or to get into real estate, because both of them you can use seller finance for. And if you are a good negotiator and you are good at communicating with people and you can build trust with them, these boomers and these older people are going to be willing to take that chance with you. And especially as the market gets deeper into what I think will be a depression, you're going to see these opportunities pop up because people just need the cash flow. They need the money and they can't necessarily operate the business anymore. So there's just a ton of opportunity. I'm going to keep making videos about this because I just want to equip everybody to take advantage of this, because I think there's going to be more than enough winning for all of us to go around. We just got to be prepared for it and take advantage of it. So that's what I have for y'all in today's video. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.